Look up on a clear night. You see a river of steel crawling across the dark, 10,000 blinking dots, and every one of them answers to a single man in California. That is the quiet truth of our age. Whoever owns low orbit owns the next war, because up there ride the radios, the drones, the eyes and ears of every brigade on the ground. And by the summer of 2026, the sky that once bowed to a single ruler has 6 players fighting over it. The old king, though, refuses to age. Starlink is still firmly on top. By late June, astronomers were counting more than 10,700 of its satellites overhead, 2/3 of everything humanity keeps alive in space. Washington has already blessed 15,000, Musk dreams of 42,000, and SpaceX flings up a fresh batch every 3 or 4 days. So much reach in one private pair of hands finally jolted the rest of the world awake. And they had good reason to worry. They remember Crimea, where the service was switched on and off at one man's word, a matter of public record, not conspiracy. The challengers, for now, are stumbling. Amazon limps along with barely 331 satellites against a deadline it has already begged to push back 2 years. Then come the two the West wrote off too soon. Start with Russia. On March 23rd, a Soyuz lifted its first 16 serial Rassvet Sunrise satellites from Plasets, raising Bureau 1440's fleet to 21. Small birds, but armed with laser links and plasma thrusters, and Putin himself hinted they will one day guide heavy strike drones. And Moscow plays a game no one else dares, a jamming signal, active since 2019 and striking only NATO states on working weekdays, has been traced to a Russian early warning satellite, the first nation ever to jam a global navigation system from space itself. China, by contrast, makes no announcements. It simply launches. Guowang, the state satnet program, widely reported to serve the PLA, passed 177 satellites in orbit from Wenchang. Xiangfan, 1,000 sails, the Shanghai-led commercial constellation, hit 200 birds on June 5th and 238 by July 5th, after the largest polar orbit launch to date. China cut first satellite manufacturing costs by 96% since the program began. This is the same industrial curve that killed Western dominance in shipbuilding, solar, and drones. The European Union's answer, IRIS², was signed on December 16, 2024, sold as strategic sovereignty, and immediately began slipping. Nominal architecture, 290 satellites. Nominal service start, 2030. First launches don't happen until 2029, and Brussels has already had to graft in 66 early delivery governmental satellites to plug the delay. Iceland and Norway signed on this June. The French Armed Forces, meanwhile, quietly bought guaranteed OneWeb capacity to bridge the gap until IRIS² materializes. France doesn't seem to fully believe its own timeline, neither does anyone else in Brussels. But the sky is starting to fight back. The same narrow band where these fleets now crowd is thickening with debris. Collision alerts multiply by the month, and every launch pulls the noose a little tighter. One bad crash could scatter a cascade of shrapnel that seals low orbit shut for a generation. Players are so busy grabbing the board that they may yet flip the whole table. So the sky no longer answers to one master, but that is exactly what makes the game so dangerous. What orbits above us has stopped being a router and become a weapon. Beneath Starlink already hums Star Shield, the Pentagon's own hardened fleet, and Moscow's birds are built to guide strike drones. By 2029, the board may hold 3 kings, perhaps 4, each with a hand on the switch. And in a war like that, the deadliest blow needs no missile. The winner will simply, on one silent evening, cut the rest of the world off and let the sky go dark.